Hello and welcome back to another Fire Drill podcast. This is Alan Shipnuck, joined by Michael Bamberger in Philadelphia, Geoff Ogilvy in St. Andrews, Scotland. He's there for the Dunhill Lynx, came straight from the President's Cup. So let's just get to it, Geoff. First of all, how are you feeling? Are you worn out? Are you running on emotion? Like, what is the state of being right now?
I'm pretty tired. It's now, what is it now is it Wednesday yet? No, it's the Tuesday night for me. I last slept on Sunday night for a little bit. So tired from all the traveling last week, but still pretty high on last week. We had a really good time. It was a super fun tournament. I feel like we did really well. We had an unbelievable atmosphere in the team room and yeah, great fun. And now I'm at the old course, so it's like I'm having a pretty good run.
That's a great run. I mean, we knew that the internationals were going to be underdogs, obviously missing a few potential, key building blocks with the defection to Live Golf. So the outcome was not a shock, but I think for just watching at home, the team spirit, the energy, the vibes, Captain Immelman's leadership, obviously Tom Kim turned into a star. I mean, just take us into the team room and inside the ropes. Like, obviously you guys were disappointed to lose, but what did it feel like to you, the international team coming out of that performance?
Yeah, I mean, look, it felt good all week. Trevor did just an unbelievable job as captain. I mean, Ernie sort of, turned the ship around, if you like. I think we'd been kind of treading water a little bit as a team, and Ernie sort of gave us the shield and sort of created a bit more of an identity to the team, and sort of Trevor just jumped up and just ran with it and just expanded on everything that sort of Ernie had started and spoiled us rotten and had it really set up incredibly well. And it was just a great atmosphere from the start. It was an incredible team, and so we sort of started rough, obviously. Thursday, Friday, first two sessions, we sort of put ourselves behind the eight ball. But I think Saturday, Sunday, we won. We won the last 2 days, if you like. We didn't win the session on Sunday, but or the points over the last sort of three sessions, we got more, and a few heroes were born, and some pretty cool moments. It was a super fun tournament, and probably the best one I've been involved with so far.
Geoff, you see you've seen a lot of young players come up through the years. You've seen Roy Ishikawa, and you've seen Jordan Spieth and lots of other 20-year-olds. Where would you put Mr. Kim on the spectrum? How do you see his golfing life unfolding?
Yeah, I mean, the future is bright, I think. I mean, we hadn't really. I mean, I guess if you're an avid golf follower, you sort of might have seen him coming, but most people didn't see him coming. And then all of a sudden in summer, he started having top tens and then won a tournament. And now he's in the President's Cup and he's a hero. Like, he was part of beating Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay, so it's a pretty unbeatable pairing to this point. And I mean, they've been incredible. So he's certainly number one in the enthusiasm stakes. He was incredibly fun. He was up and about all week. He was the same in the team room as you guys saw on the broadcast or at the tournament. Just full of enthusiasm. I guess when you're 20, it's sort of, that's more your headspace. But yeah, he was incredible. He was so much fun, and he was so excited, and he didn't want to back down, and he was happy to get big matches and big games, and he kind of wanted those big moments, and he certainly thrived in it. Some of the celebrations were sort of contagious, I mean, even the US crowd, which is usually sort of pretty one-sided, they sort of all got on Tom Kim's side as well, because he was just so much fun to watch. And yeah, incredible. I think he's got a great future. He hits the ball really well. He's got a great mind, obviously, to sort of get himself so high and then get him back ready to play the next hole. And he was massive in the big moments. I mean, it's hard to explain to people who haven't. I mean, people can sort of understand sort of first tee nerves and maybe a bit of pressure and sort of a member guest or a normal, even just a little golf event or something. But the pressure that you feel in these sort of tournaments is more than a major by a long way, I think. because you're sort of carrying your whole team on your back for those little moments. And when you've got your whole team driving up in carts and following, and the 18th green getting surrounded, and you're holding a big putt like that, pretty impressive. So, I mean, I think one of the measures of a golfer is how well they handle those big moments, and he handled all the big moments really, really well, and had looked like he was having the time of his life.
What was your favorite moment of the week, Geoff?
There was a few. I mean, Tom and Siwoo beating Xander and Patrick was pretty fun. Maybe I think Siwoo holding his birdieing the last to beat JT. I think JT is probably shaping up to be probably the hardest guy in the world to beat in that style of event. Loves going out first, loves sort of setting the tone, and he sort of revs up the crowd and plays up the fist pumps, and sort of it's got that feels sort of like the McIlroy Patrick Reed sort of match, like that really sort of ultra high level, sort of egg each other on, sort of try to antagonize each other a little bit. And Siwoo coming up the last and just hitting it close and making the putt. That was the level that they played at for the last 9 holes was amazing. I mean, Quail Hollow last week was really, really hard. Like, if arguably, I would say it was probably set up a little bit too hard for a match play tournament. And the way some of those guys finished that tournament off, and the way Siwoo played on Sunday, just incredible. So when Siwoo made that putt in the last hole, it was a pretty amazing feeling.
What did you think of Justin and his kind of bitchiness about having to hole out, 3-foot putts in a tense match? What was your take on that?
I don't get that sort of thing. I mean, I think that's all part of match play. I think for the US guys don't grow up playing a lot of match play, and the whole game around gimmies sort of, I wouldn't say mind games. It's kind of mind games. Strategy to sort of gimmies and giving them and not giving them, and I think it's all part of match play as a game. And look, part of JT's reaction is part of the game as well. That's his mind games on the way back. So it's all in a good spirit, and he handled it really well. JT, I don't love when people complain if they don't get given a putt. I mean, if it's such a gimme, just putt it, tap it in. I mean, if it's like, if you're never going to miss it, then what does it matter if you putt it? So, yeah. But again, I think it's all part of the game. I mean, he's so invested in what he's doing, JT, which is why he's so good at match play, and so good in those moments, that you can't be that invested and that intense and not sort of have those sort of moments, So I just think it all adds to the drama, and I think it's all part of it. And I'm pretty confident there's no hard feelings at the end of the game. I just think that's kind of what's going on during the match.
And of course, it's not a gimme. If it was a gimme, it would have been given. Obviously, it's missable. So this is a yipper talking, but I'm totally with you, Geoff. There's only one person on the ground who probably had more experience at team events than Fred. And it would have been, I think, your former neighbor, Bones, Jim Mackay. What kind of presence do you see from Mackay at these team events? It's just astounding how many of them he's been at, going back to the early 90s.
What a pair those two are. I mean, Bones must have been at, I don't know, how many's he been at? He's been at...
It would go
20?
back to the 9... Yeah, I mean, at least, because it goes back to the 94 Ryder Cup.
Yeah, 25 or 30. I mean, it's just he's been at
95 Ryder Cup. Yeah, that would have been Phil's first.
So close to 30. Yeah, incredible. And what a sort of asset for JT on his bag. Yeah, it was great to have him there, Bones. It's good to see him back on the bag. I mean, I enjoyed listening to his commentary, but he's back doing what he loves doing, and it just adds to all the theatre and the drama of the whole thing. It's yeah, he's seen a lot over the years. He's seen the US win some amazing tournaments, amazing team events. He's seen them lose a few Ryder Cups at least. He's been on both sides of sort of the thing. Yeah, it's great to have that sort of experience. I mean, it's like we had Adam Scotty playing on our team, and he's played 10 of these things now. And he commands such a presence in the team room, and is as much a leader as anyone else in the room. So it's Bones, I'm sure, has the same effect in the US room. When he starts talking, everybody listens, and there's no substitute for experience in those things.
It's interesting, the U.S. has now won, or it's been 9 in a row since they've lost a President's Cup, and there's some talk ahead of this event that maybe they need to blow up the President's Cup and rethink it because it's too lopsided. I liked Trevor Immelman's fire at the end. He clearly took exception to that statement, and really, when you look at the last 4 President's Cups, Royal Melbourne last time around was fantastic. 2015, it was a nail biter, was decided by 1 point. And even though this one wasn't close, it was still memorable, and there was a lot of spirited play. So can we safely say that the demise of the President's Cup has been premature?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if anybody who was there last week would be blown away by that sentiment. I mean, it's an incredible tournament. It creates an unbelievable atmosphere. I mean, the final score is almost flattering to the US a little bit. I mean, with an hour and a half to go, it was, if you looked at the leaderboard and everything, you stopped it there, we were going to be really, really close. I mean, at about 2:30, probably 2:30, 3 o'clock, it looked like we were a reasonable chance to win the tournament. You know what I mean? So I think it was closer than the end leaderboard suggests. We obviously were way behind, but we had a great Saturday. Sunday was going really well. Siwoo sort of started it off amazingly with that win, and there was a lot of black on the board when he won that. And I sort of counted down. You keep looking at the scoreboard and looking down my phone to see what was going on, and it's like, wow, we could actually win this thing. So, and it seemed the US guys, you could tell that, oh, hang on a minute, this thing's on here a minute. We better start paying attention. Clearly, they were paying attention before, but yeah, it's just an unbelievable event. I think all that talk beforehand, it's just, I don't know, it's just trying to get reactions or something, or sell newspapers, or, I mean, this is your guys' world, but anyone who's ever, I think, and you guys have both been to President's Cups and been around and felt the atmosphere, and it's an incredible event, and it's only going to grow. The international golf is really, really strong. I mean, we can't forget that this US team that's being fielded at the moment in these Ryder Cups and President's Cups is maybe one of the best teams of all time. I mean, it's an unbelievable sort of combination of young enthusiasm who have really bought into this sort of team event thing, which might not have happened for a while. And you've got Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele, who are sort of best friends and an unbelievable pairing. You've got Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth, who have just incredible chemistry. We're developing Scheffler and Burns, all top 10 players in the world, and all unbelievable combinations and good friends. I mean, you get 3 borderline unbeatable sort of pairs in your team. I mean, it's a pretty hard team to beat. So, the US is in a really sort of great period of their sort of team golf. You know, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that everyone was talking about, well, how's the US ever going to win a Ryder Cup again? You know, and now you look at it, it's like, well, is anyone ever going to beat them? So that's what's so great about them. You have sort of these peaks and troughs of teams and sides, and it's fun for the US right now, and it's a great challenge for the internationals and for Europe to sort of find a way to sort of win one of these things.
Geoff, I know they're different events, but there's a lot of similarities, the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup. Of course, the European Tour, well, let me rephrase. Europe decides for itself who's going to be on its team. Just for the lay listener, do you think it makes sense for the PGA Tour to dictate to the international team who can and cannot be on its team?
I don't think so. Well, there's a load in that question. There's a loaded question.
Just give it to us straight, Geoff. Come on.
If you are suggesting that should live players have been allowed to play, I don't think they should have been. No.
Okay. I wasn't, but that's fine.
I think the international team should have its own identity and control the way the team is sort of picked. I think if the PGA Tour has probably got a right to sort of decide the pool of players that you can pick from. It's their event. And they set the rules for the event, just like the USGA sets the rules for the US Open, and Augusta sets the rules for the Masters. I mean, the President's Cup's a PGA Tour event, and they set the rules for the tournament. So, but I definitely think that the international team should and is growing sort of, I wouldn't say control, but an equal sort of say in the matter. We had some merch in the tent last week. You saw some people that there was sort of, it wasn't half of the tent. Clearly, it's never going to be in a US Ryder Cup, but I think in the international ones, it's going to be close to half the tent or more. Our merch, and I think gradually you'll see the Shield and the international sort of merchandise sort of popping up in the crowd. We started seeing it last week, and it's becoming a real thing. And if you actually think about it, I mean, the US team is going to have 300 million supporters, and the international team is going to have 6 billion. Theoretically. There's the supporter base for the team is potentially massive, and everybody and that should be just taken as it is. The US is clearly the strongest country in golf by a long stretch, and it's fun to try to beat the best. So yeah, I think the international team should have sort of a lot of say in the team and how it operates and how we set up our sort of our week and how it's all structured. Absolutely, because I think it's only to golf's benefit that this tournament thrives and the international team gets the great crack at it that they deserve.
I mean, the Shield is really cool. It looks like a superhero logo. I'm a fan without a doubt. And, obviously it was a subtext. This whole President's Cup was live golf in the background and the players who were there, who weren't there. But I think in some ways the U.S. team was helped by the way this is all shaken out. I mean, clearly they missed Dustin Johnson, who went 5-0 at the last Ryder Cup and is playing beautiful golf right now. Like, he would have been an asset. There's no question. But to get rid of Bryson DeChambeau, Patrick Reed, and Brooks Koepka, who are three of the spikiest personalities in golf, I guess would be a polite way of saying it. I mean, Geoff, did you detect a different camaraderie and team spirit on this U.S. team than some previous incarnations?
Oh, they certainly, yeah, they've got a great sort of thing going on, the U.S. team. As I said, they've kind of got 3 sets of best friends who are all young. They're all top 10 in the world. And I'm not even putting Colin Morikawa in there, who's obviously an unbelievable golfer. Cam Young, who that's the first time I'd actually seen him play up close a few times. I mean, the way that guy hits the ball, it's just unbelievable. Yeah, they've got some really good stuff. And Scotty Scheffler, Scotty Scheffler and Sam Burns, he was in the thing. He's got number 1 in the world. Yeah, they're in a good spot. I feel like there was that period. I feel like Tiger and Phil ended up sort of really having sort of great sort of passion for the Ryder Cup. But I don't know if they really sort of fully were embraced in it, like say a Sergio or a Monty was for Europe, But now I feel like they really do have 7, 8, 9, 10, almost the whole team room just really enthusiastic about this team events. They seem to really, really enjoy the contest. Look forward to it. I mean, I think the US team's has got a lot going for it at the moment, and the talent is so deep. To, like you say, and you say spiky personalities, but there's some fair talent that's not there as well. And to consider that the team is as good as it is without Brooks Koepka and Dustin Johnson, and it was only a few years ago that Patrick Reed looked like he was going to be like the most unbeatable match player in these team events we've ever seen, and he's not there. Bryson's not there. It's incredible how deep American golf is at the moment and how good it is.
Yeah, and Tiger is Tiger, but his Ryder Cup record is mediocre at best. He was such a big personality. I think he intimidated some of his teammates, and he was an introvert, and he created an unusual dynamic in the locker room. And Phil loved these team events, but he sucked all the oxygen out of the room. So even losing 2 of the greatest players of the last the greatest player of all time and one of the second best in the last 30 years. In some ways, seems like a net positive to the U.S. team because those guys were their personalities and some of the baggage that came with both of them. So yeah, it just felt like this U.S. team was had a togetherness that is rare, and it is fun to watch. And of course, that was also the case with the way this international team bonded. I mean, what did you do, and what did Trevor do, and the other guys behind the scenes to help foster this atmosphere where these guys came together from different tours, different countries, different parts of the world, and yet they seemed so cohesive and tight knit? Like, what did we not see that went into that?
There was lots you didn't see. Yeah, I mean, Trevor just did such a good job. He just was so passionate and enthusiastic about sort of the role and this team. The communication, there'd been chat groups on the phone. We'd been chatting and communicating since the day after Royal Melbourne, 3 years ago. And him and Carmenita, his wife, put so much of their time in this, and they just pushed and pushed and pushed to make it the best possible environment for the players. And from as soon as everybody arrived, it just felt really, really good. We don't need to describe all the little things that he did, but just the passion and enthusiasm, I guess, enthusiasm is infectious. He gave us some great rousing speeches and made it a lot of fun. And just, it wasn't hard. You didn't have to buy in. It's just like, I'm on this train. Like, the train came past and I'm jumping on this because this is the train I want to get on. It was just from Monday morning, Sunday night, Monday morning, it was just like, wow, this week's going to be fun. It's a little bit different. The young guys, 8 rookies, all just so excited to be there, just blown away by how sort of big these events. I mean, I think it takes you by surprise the first time you get to one of these things, how big they are how sort of on one level how spoilt you're getting, and on another level how big the build out of the golf course is, and how nervous you are on Thursday morning, and sort of they just feel really amazing and exciting and big and full of pressure, and it's like kind of the ultimate test of you as a golfer. And I think Trevor just sort of created this sort of, I don't know, family-like bond that just, it was very early in the week. I mean, I think early President's Cups that I was involved in, and I feel like all the way back to the start, because we bring so many sort of nationalities and cultures together in the same room, usually by Saturday or Sunday, we were like an incredible team. But Trevor sort of got that achieved on Monday morning. And it was the lead up. It's not just the week. It's lots of team meetings, lots of dinners throughout the year, sort of practice rounds all the time with prospective teams. I mean, the collective group or 25 or so players who could potentially make the team at sort of the start of 2022 are sort of all in the mix, and it's like, it's a big group from the beginning. And as I said, like, it's collectively every country can sort of unite in trying to beat sort of the best team in the world, he just did an incredible job, and it was just exciting. Like, they're so tiring, those weeks, especially as a captain, because every night you're sort of debriefing and working out what you're going to do tomorrow, and sort of strategizing and sort of going through all that stuff every night. So you're not getting a lot of sleep and you're having really long days. But it was just it didn't take any, like, the alarm goes off, bang, I'm getting up again, I get to do this again, and it was excitement. So just fantastic weeks, and Trevor he steered the ship incredibly well and made us all want to go along with him.
Geoff, it was sort of Trevor isn't that well known to the American golf audience. It was sort of an introduction to him, but we'll get a really much bigger one come April when he does his first Masters. Can you share with us any insights you might have about what kind of broadcaster Trevor will be at the Masters next year?
Well, I think anyone who watched some of his media conferences next year will sort of see how classy and elegant he speaks, and it's well thought out, and a lot of passion there. I mean, he's been a golfer since I think he could stand up, Trevor, and passionate one. He loves the game. he's sort of he's a true golf fan as well as being an unbelievable golfer. And I think his announcing, anybody who's been watching CBS in the last few years, sort of, I hope that they enjoy his sort of analysis and the way he sees the game. And I think he'll be really good. He'll do his research. He'll work really hard. He wants to be great at anything he does. And he's very well spoken, and he thinks about what he's saying, and quite eloquent, I think. And there was getting standing ovations coming back into the team room after his media conferences every day because of sort of the team was watching it. There's TVs in the team room, and everyone's sort of watching sort of how he's doing it and stuff. And I think he'll be great. I think they've picked the perfect person.
You mentioned Cam Young, and we touched on Tom Kim, but who else really impressed you? Seeing them up close inside the ropes like you did.
Sam Burns, I saw up close for the first time, and wow, he's really, really, really good. He handled the big moments really well. He hits it incredibly far, drives the ball really, really well. He looks like he's got a really impressive future. Scotty Scheffler hits it further than I thought. He was hitting it miles. Cam Davis was great. The way he stood up on Saturday afternoon, him and Scotty played one of the highest level sort of best balls I've ever seen, especially coming down the stretch. It was amazing. Cam Davis finished eagle birdie for them to win that match, and Scotty was making birdie as well on those last three holes. It was just and as I said, Quail Hollow it was not set up easy. Those greens were rolling really, really fast, and the pins weren't easy. And Cam Davis was impressive. He hit the ball really well. I said Scheffler sort of impressed me. Tom Kim was amazing. Siwoo Kim was just outrageous. It was just outrageous. He's. I guess if you don't really, if you haven't been inside the ropes with Siwoo Kim or played with him, or sort of watched him play up close, you're probably like, wow, Siwoo Kim's beaten Justin Thomas. I don't get how that happens. But like anybody who's ever played with Siwoo knows how high his ceiling is. It's as high as anybody's. And he just loves the big moments. He's just incredible. I followed him around quite a few holes, 2 or 3 of his matches at Liberty National in 17, and I saw something pretty special in the big moments, and he did it again. He was incredible too. Look, they all played so well. Golf, I haven't really been inside the ropes that much in the last couple of years, but the level of golf is going up so fast at that level. It's fun to watch. It really is. The golf, it used to be there was 3 or 4 guys. For someone like me, I guess, who plays and maybe doesn't want to acknowledge other people's skill because that sort of helps my mental game. I used to be impressed by 2 or 3 people on the range, maybe, wow, he's going to be hard to beat. That guy's good. But everyone else, he's all right. But it's just unbelievable how good all of these guys are now. The level is so high. They all swing it great. If you stand behind both teams on the range, it's just an absolute clinic about how these guys play the game, and they make so many putts. Jordan always blows me away with how many putts he makes. The level of golf at the top level is improving, maybe at the fastest rate it has. For a long time, it feels like to me anyway. The difference between there used to be 3 or 4, as I said, top 2 or 3 golfers in the world were so much better than 10th 20 years ago. Look at the gap between Tiger and second, and then look at the difference between Ernie and Phil and the next guy sort of at the time. But now 10th, 20th in the world, they all just play just outrageously impressive golf. Even further down, the level is really, really high. It's fun to watch. It's a sight to behold. People should go walk along the ropes for some of these guys because it's just incredible what these guys are doing at the moment.
Geoff, I was on the phone earlier today with Davis Love, and he said you can't have a team room like the one we had and not have Phil's name come up, not have Dustin Johnson's name come up. He didn't say Patrick Reed, but maybe Patrick Reed as well. Did you find something similar in your team room in terms of people who weren't there?
You know what? It didn't come up at all. I mean, going there, I thought, well, maybe there'll be a bit, and the press tent tried to get it out of Trevor, and but no, it didn't come up. Trevor was really, really good about it. They weren't the unmentionables. It just didn't come up. He created such a great atmosphere of, we are so happy you guys are all here. What a great opportunity this is for this international team to sort of win a President's Cup in America. That, like, I'm being genuinely honest, it just wasn't even a factor in the team rooms, and I'd credit Trevor for that, because it could very well easily have been, especially when we were down 8-2, and as I said, the questions were coming, and when all the players were sitting up in their press conference, the questions came, and the players just did an unbelievable job at saying, no, we're the ones who are here. We're going to win this tournament. Next question. It really wasn't talked about, and it might have been thought about by others, but to me, it didn't feel like it was a factor at all.
Although Trevor did have the sickest burn of the whole week on Twitter. I don't know if you must have seen it, where Greg Norman put out this very faux sincere tweet and a picture of an old President's Cup and wishing the boys good luck, and Trevor's response in all caps was just LOL. I mean, that was pretty epic. How did that go down in the team room?
Yeah, that was pretty well received. That was pretty funny. I mean, I guess a lot of these, Trevor's sort of been dealing with this the whole time, right? Because he's been going through the roller coaster of not knowing who he's going to pick, and all this stuff sort of happened. He's had 3 years to sort of plan this cup out, and I'm sure he had a few guys more than penciled in to his lineup, and he had the stress and anxiety going along about who's going to be coming and who's not, and so he's been sort of living this story for a while, and then for stuff like that to come along, it's just, he handled it with such class. I mean, I just think it might sound from the outside like it wasn't classy, but I think it was just the perfect response, because it was just a nonsense tweet, really, from Greg. Just more about, it's all about Greg, it was funny. The team loved it. It was brilliant. Yeah.
Oh no, I thought it was classy in its understatement. Well, we know you haven't slept in a long time, Geoff. We're going to let you go here, but you have to tell us one good story from the victory party. I think I saw Sung Jae maybe doing Gangnam Style in impressive fashion. For a big man's got pretty quick feet. But what other funny things happened Sunday night in the wee hours?
Lots of funny things happened in the wee hours. Not any of them are going to make it on this podcast. So, Sung Jae was a very impressive Gangnam Style dancer. I mean, it was the best spirited party. It was one of the best after parties of these things we've ever had. Quite often it can be a bit flat if you've lost the tournament. But no, it was so, I don't know, it was so joyful for whatever reason. Everyone was just so excited about how well the week had gone. Majority of the US team came into our room because it was more fun. At least after a few hours, sort of ours was just keeping on going. Ours just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And to their credit, to US team's credit, they all came in and they all hung out. I mean, most of them hung out most of the night. No details, but JT and Jordan were there till the end. And it was brilliant. And they were open arms, and every time they'd come in, and Trevor would congratulate Jordan Spieth for winning the cup, and congratulate Xander Schauffele for winning the cup, and congratulate Patrick Cantlay. They all came in, and it was this collective, joint sort of celebration. It was brilliant. It was a really good time. It went really, really late. Most of us were feeling fairly worse for wear on Monday morning. But it was a good night. It was good times.
I love that. Michael, any last questions before we let Geoff go?
No, that was perfect. No, that was a great send-off.
All right. Well, thank you for taking time to reflect on a pretty epic week, Geoff. We wish you luck at the Dunhill. We know it's your favorite golf course in the world, so we'll be watching you. This has been another Fire Drill podcast. Thank you, as always, for listening. For Michael Bamberger, this is Alan Shipnuck, Geoff Ogilvy. We'll do it again soon. Bye bye.